Hi everyone, a very warm welcome to all of you once again to today's weekly career class. I am Samar, your host, and today Shivani Khatri, an experienced study abroad counselor, will speak to us on estimating costs for studying abroad. This is a very hot topic, and I'm sure all of you will benefit from this today. I would encourage you all to keep your questions ready in the chat box as always, since we plan to address them towards the end. So without further ado, I would like to hand over the session to Ms. Shivani. Over to you, Shivani.
Thank you so much, Samar. Uh, Welcome to our weekly career class, everyone. And thank you for taking out the time to be here. I'm Shivani, and I'm a study abroad coach with iDream Career. So I just want to tell you that at iDream and even in the study abroad vertical, we have always believed in unbiased career counseling for everyone. When we talk to students from different parts of the country who want to go abroad, or parents who want to send their kids abroad, we always make sure that they get the best fit college and the best fit course for them, because I feel that's very, very important. So I just wanted to kind of take a minute to talk about why study abroad for your child. Actually, study abroad, I feel, is becoming really popular for all students and parents, and it is not without reason. We are all living in a world where the world is getting smaller, and we have developed a global mindset, and the challenges that we face have also become global at a certain level, right? I've seen students become very, very independent, very mindful, higher in self-confidence and self-esteem when they start operating in such an environment. Start understanding people from different backgrounds and different cultures, which is the beauty of study abroad. Something that it can really like open your eyes to. Uh, I've also seen students become very proficient in certain skills that they otherwise wouldn't learn if they were studying in India or any other university for that matter. They become more adept at communication. They become more adept at team building skills. They start learning new languages. They start volunteering. They start doing community work. I've seen them get internships and get work experience. So it is really, you could say, a transformation at another level. This is something that really enhances your career opportunities. So, which is why I personally feel that study abroad can, bring a lot to the table when the future of your child is concerned. And when I was thinking about this session, this class today, my main focus was to be on parental readiness for finances. Which is what I'm going to talk about also now in the next part. So when we think about study abroad, we always want to first understand how we are going to finance our education, right? So whether you're a student or a parent, because studying abroad is not, it's not a cheap affair, let's be honest. Okay. So the first thing that students come and ask me is, okay, I want to study abroad, but what about finances? How can I sponsor my education? And you know that there are a number of financial aid, scholarships, tuition grants available for students. There are bursaries and assistantships that are available for students, provided that you have the right profile and the right grades and the right aptitude for it. Uh, we do have students who take education loans on their study and plan to study abroad as well. So whatever works for you is something we need to sit down and figure out, which we always do. But yeah, there are ways to fund your education, so you shouldn't feel very disheartened when you look at the costs of university education, or you have a dream university that you want to go to, or a course, and you feel that, okay, this is not fitting in my budget and I can't really do this. So again, I do talk about finances, scholarships, tuition grants, scholarships in another session completely. So we'll take that topic up sometime. But what I wanted to focus on was, sometimes we have blinders on when we forget to see the finances that are surrounding the study abroad vertical as well. Okay, so mostly we take a look at the tuition fee and go, okay, so let's say 25 lakh is what I need to pay for 1 year of my master's degree. But you don't really take into account a lot of other things, okay, which I will talk about in my next section. So what are the factors basically which you're keeping in mind, which you should keep in mind when you're planning for a study abroad, education? So first is geographical factors. So if you look at any country anywhere in the world, okay, If you look at a university or a college which is, let's say, associated in an urban area, your cost of education is automatically going to go higher, right? Because you are paying more for the university fee, you're also paying for your standard of living and your housing, accommodation, food, and all of those things. So those are also factors which are related to geographical factors. If you look at a university or a campus which is situated in a semi-urban area, let's say, so of course your cost of living can significantly go down, and it can come down to something which fits your budget. So as a parent, you could research and you could start looking at universities which are budget friendly and which wouldn't charge you a lot of tuition fee. Let's say Purdue, for example, is a budget friendly university that you could look at. I'm just putting it out there. Housing and food. Now, I've seen the cost of housing and food differ. I think extremely in many cases. Okay, so there are students who are able to manage their housing and food in a very budget friendly manner, and then there are students who like to go out, let's say, every day and eat out, or not cook and stay in private houses and not dorms. So all of that can add up to, again, an increasing cost of education for you. Okay. And if you're going for an undergraduate degree, so you're essentially looking at a 3-year or a 4-year degree, so it can really, I think, increase your cost by quite a lot. Your length of stay also affects, your study abroad budget. So if you're, let's say, looking at a UG degree in the US, which is a 4-year program, you're obviously going to be spending, a figure that is in crores, all right? But if you're, let's say, looking at a master's degree, and you're also looking at financial aids and bursaries and anything that applies to you, then you may not your budget may not go that high, right? So this is again another factor that I want you to consider. So whether you want to go for a UG degree or a PG degree, uh, a lot of times I've seen students also look at 1-year PG degrees, okay, rather than 2, because that again cuts down on their cost of housing and food, stay, and everything else, tuition fee also. Then additional expenses, of course. So this is something I'm going to talk about, and this is something that I think we often forget to keep in mind. Um, Additional expenses, your standardized tests. Okay, so let's say you have to take the GRE exam or the GMAT exam or the SATs, or you want to take additional APs. You need to pay a certain amount of fee for that. Your visa fee. So if you apply for any kind of student visa, and you as parents, if you apply for tourist visa, because obviously you want to go and drop your parents off or drop your kids off to college, all of that then adds up to your cost of education as well. The airfare, of course. Immunization. So there are certain shots and immunization that is required to travel to certain countries, right? um, those shots can be expensive. Getting those vaccinations can sometimes be expensive, and that has to be added to your cost of education as well, because you're doing that to get a student visa. Then, of course, insurance. I know for a fact that many countries take insurance very seriously, especially student insurances. So whether it is insurance for your health, or insurance for a vehicle that you've purchased, for example, while being a student in another country, all of that is taken very seriously, and that needs to be added to your cost of education again. Okay. UK, for example, charges quite a hefty health surcharge, even if you're a student. So, but then your medical expenses are covered by the government. But again, you need to keep paying, even if you're not getting treatment for anything as such. You need to keep paying that insurance on a regular basis, unless you want your visa to be cancelled. Okay, so that is again something you need to add. Then determining if financial aid applies to, and I've said this time and again, uh, almost every student that I encounter talks to me about financial aid. Okay, how do I get a scholarship? Okay, fine, I want to go to so and so country, but I want a scholarship. But that is not how it works. Okay, we always strive for the best. We always try that you get some sort of financial aid when you go to college, but it really depends on the kind of profile that a student has. Okay, it is not for me to decide whether a student will get a scholarship or not get a scholarship, and sometimes it is very subjective. So let's say in a particular year, you're a girl who's applying for a science program or a STEM program. So in that particular year, a certain scholarship may be available only for women from third world countries who are applying to science or STEM programs. So that is financial aid that can apply to you in that particular year. On another year, that financial aid may not be available, or even if it is available, it could be for some other program or some other minority of students that you may not belong to. All right. For scholarships also, we always tell students, I have students who come with uh, average grades sometimes, but great profiles. Okay, let's say you've got average grades, but you have stellar profile. You've played, let's say, at the national level or at the zonal level, or you're an amazing musician, or I've even seen students become the CEO of their own companies and doing some amazing work in the community. Okay, so if you've got that kind of profile with you, then of course financial aid is possible for you. But if you're somebody who's, let's say, average in academics, average in profile, not done very well, not done a lot of activities as such, it can get a bit tedious to apply for financially. Okay. Also, another very, so as a parent, I think you should know that sometimes it can sort of jeopardize your admissions as well. Okay. So if you're a parent who can afford to send your child abroad, and you still say that yes, we do need financial aid and we can't send a student, a child abroad, that can sometimes create issues in the visa process also. Okay, so this is something that you shouldn't do. Okay, shouldn't demonstrate financial need if there is no financial need, right? If you have financial need, if you don't think you can support your child, then yes, do definitely tick mark that you need financial aid, otherwise not. Because sometimes admissions are granted on the basis of whether funds are readily available with you or not, right? And visas can also depend on that, so that process becomes smoother. Another thing I just want to add here is that when you're planning to send your student or send your child abroad, it's always better to start that financial planning journey a year before. Okay? So if your daughter is, let's say, in grade 11th now, and she will be moving to whatever country after grade 12, so you can start saving from now. So you could have a recurring deposit in her name, or you could have some sort of FD that you can do, so that visa authorities and university authorities know that you've been doing this for a longer period of time. So obviously you've thought this through and you've planned this bit. So again, it becomes easier for you to secure a student visa, easier for you to secure a traveler's visa, and just the whole process becomes a whole lot smoother. Okay. Um, you must know that when you apply to any country, okay, you need to show financial documents beforehand. So you need to fill out, a whole form where you. So of course, a lot of people take help from their CAs and from their accountants for this, but we do help parents with that also. And you need to show that you have enough amount of money to cover the first year tuition fee, and of course housing and living expenses as well, at least for the first year. Okay, even if you are thinking of doing some sort of part-time job, you still need to show a certain amount of money in your account before you can go ahead and start applying for your visas and start doing the whole process for study abroad. All right, so that is I think I just wanted to take a few minutes to talk about these factors which are very essential. uh, I've just created like a small cost estimation for study abroad as well. So let's see. So this is for US basically. Okay, so just to give you an idea, the cost of tuition can vary anywhere between 16,000 to 25,000 USD per semester. Okay, so again, depends on the kind of program that you're applying for, the kind of university that you're looking at, whether the university is in urban area, semi-urban area, what kind of programs and what kind of financial aid is available with the university also, right? So is it funded by the government or not? What kind of research projects are going on? All of that adds up to basically your semester fee. So as you can see, the semester fee is not exactly cheap, right? So you are spending quite a lot there. But if you just ignore that part, I just want to draw your focus to the other elements of the application here as well. Okay. Now, when you apply to colleges, of course, you're paying an application cost, right? So it can be anywhere between $25 to $50 per application. Okay, so even if you apply through Common App or you apply through UCAS, you're paying some fee, right? So that is again cost that has to be added to your study abroad finances. SAT fee is $104. So if you're an undergraduate student, you want to go for an undergraduate degree, you're taking the SATs, okay, then again that fee needs to be added. Sometimes students can even take the SATs 2 or 3 times. Okay, so again it comes out to be quite a lot. And same is the case with the GRE and the GMAT exam also. Okay. And then of course there are other exams like MCAT, PMAT, QCAT. Okay. So all of them will also have their own set of finances related to them. Uh, like I said, these exams are not exactly cheap, but students might need to take them multiple times also. So that cost has to be added to your estimate. Okay. Then you have the SEVI. So if you're applying to the US, you have to pay the SEVI's ID fee. So when you accept an offer from any university, the university gives you an I-20, okay, which is basically your initiation for a student visa. So when you apply for a student visa, they do a background verification and a check on you, okay, what kind of student you are, where you belong to, and if this is a genuine case of study abroad or not, and if you could, all of those things. So the SEVI fee is about 350 USD. Again, needs to be paid. You can't escape it. You have to pay it, right? Then the DS 160 fee, like I said, you're a parent and you're traveling with your kid to, drop them to US or whatever country. So you will be applying for a tourist visa, right? So when you apply for a tourist visa, you again have to pay a fee. Now, additional, of course, cost estimation, your food and lodging, but again, it can vary from student to student, child to child. Okay, so that's something that I leave to, I think, your judgment. Airfare, of course, whatever country you're traveling to and what time. Generally when students fly, during August, September, airfares are expensive, right? So you need to book your tickets in advance. But again, to book your tickets, you also need to have your student visa in place. So there are a lot of things that need to be planned beforehand. Books and stationery, of course, a very big, I think, cost. Most universities will give you access to online resources. They will give you access to their library, which is filled with all kinds of resources and stationery. However, as a student, and if you're a student, let's say you're doing a 4-year program or a 2-year program, whatever degree program you're doing, you have to be ready with your books and stationery, and you have to be able to spend that kind of money on that. Okay? And then preparation costs. So preparation costs can be, so let's say if you're applying to the US or you're applying to Canada, uh, other than the SAT, GRE, and SEVICE fee, you may also have to pay a VES fee. Okay, so there's something called an education credentialing, which World Education Services does. So it's just an organization that will let you know what your equivalent of an Indian degree is to the Canadian degree or the US degree that you're wanting to pursue. And your transcripts have to be sent to that universities, okay, let's say. So that can also cost you somewhere around $204, which is not exactly cheap, right? So all of that needs to be done. So this was my cost estimation, and like I said, this varies from country to country. I've just taken one example from US, but if you look at UK, the cost can be slightly lesser. Okay, if you look at Australia and let's say Canada and US are quite comparable, okay, because of course the currency, because of the currency also, and otherwise because of the kind of structure that they have for education in place as well. Okay, so they will also require you to take a lot of exams. They will require you to pay a certain amount of tuition fee. UK, there's one thing, because it's not a 4-year degree, it's a 3-year degree. So again, you're cutting down on 1 year of course, so that saves you some money. Then again, if you're looking at other countries which give you 3-year degrees, there aren't a lot, by the way. So again, you're paying for a 4-year degree essentially. I also see a lot of students applying for, Italy and Germany and a lot of other countries, which they feel is cheaper, okay, and fits their budget. My only advice to kids when they have such requests is that you need to really, really look at your profile. There is one concept that I'd just like to take a minute to explain, which is free education in Germany and free education in certain universities and colleges across, the world. So whenever something is free, right, of course, it's supposed to be a very good institution, a public institution, which is providing you with free education. The catch here is that you need to be able to, uh, uh, you know, sort of compete with all the applications that they've been getting, right? So if a university, a top-notch university in the world, is accepting students free, it's going to have a very high number of applications coming in, okay, for those limited number of seats. So you're competing with so many students, and not just students in your country, from everywhere across the world. Okay, so you can't expect to lag in any department in that way. Okay? So, and another thing is, when you're applying to a non-speaking country, you cannot say that I will apply to, let's say, an English speaking course and not learn the language. Okay. I feel it is a bit disrespectful in that regard, because if you're going to another country which has another language, I feel you should always learn the language, because with the language comes the culture, right? And to navigate through the university, to talk to your professors, to talk to people around you, okay, and even for part-time jobs and any other thing, you do need to know that language, okay? And even if you plan to work later, with any company in that particular area, you would need to know the local language. All right. So that is what I had to say. So with that, my presentation is at an end, and I would like to open the forum for questions now. And I would love to hear what you've been thinking, and if you have any particular questions that I can take.
Sure, thanks, Shivani. So, as she said, the floor is open for questions. Please
Yeah.
feel free to post your queries.
So not just related to the cost estimation, I'm open to taking any questions, any doubts that you might have. So please feel free.
So, meanwhile, Shivani, can you throw some light on, how do cost vary across different academic disciplines or degrees?
Yeah. Yes, yes, absolutely, absolutely. So, when you're looking at the kind of programs that you go for, so I've seen that programs that require a lot of, let's say, lab work, okay, will always be expensive. So, let's say you're looking at medicine as a program, okay, medicine all over the world is really expensive, okay. If you look at a science program or an engineering program, okay, a STEM program, which requires a lot of lab work, which requires a lot of instruments, a lot of technical infrastructure, so that is going to cost you more, right? If you're looking at, let's say, a program in on the other hand, sociology, okay, so that might be a little more simpler and might not require a lot of tools as such, so it might cost you a little lesser. But then again, it depends on the kind of goal that you have, right? Then again, if you're looking at, let's say, a PhD program, I see a lot of PhD programs which are fully funded as well. Okay? So, but then again, there's always a catch, right? They could have very limited seats. So they could only have 10 to 15 seats per year. And if you're a brilliant student who can manage to get in and get yourself fully funded, then nothing like it. I've seen a lot of master's degrees also, which have tie-ups with, let's say, certain organizations which are free of cost for students. Okay, like if you're looking at, let's say, a clinical related program, okay, which has some sort of internship with the hospital, then the hospital essentially, or the organization in that particular country, okay, which takes care of medical infrastructure, is going to sponsor it. Okay? So you don't need to invest that much. But again, you need to be a brilliant student to be able to get in that kind of program. Okay? So there are programs where you can get in where you have to pay a little less, but I think it really depends. So, and then again, then there is the whole debate of public versus private universities. Public universities will always be a little cheaper as compared to private universities. So again, that's your preference. I've seen, but then I've seen some really amazing private universities also, right? So they've got all the IVs that students aim for, so they feel that the money that they're paying, okay, if they get in, is worth it, okay? And there is financial aid available also for brilliant students. So really, I can't comment a lot on this, because every student is unique. So we really sit with you and take the time to understand you, and then sort of make that kind of comment about costs also. You're on mute, Samantha.
Thanks, Shivani. So next question, we have been
Yeah.
seeing a growing number of students who apply to, universities in countries like, say, Canada for these short-term or certificate courses,
Yes.
since it fits their budget. So what is your opinion on this?
Yeah. I think that's a good option. Okay. So if I have, I've completed my education in India, let's say, and I want to look at some sort of job in Canada, okay, and or I want to make a career transition, let's say. So it is sometimes easier to get into a college rather than a university and do a 1 year certificate program or a diploma program, because you might already have work experience, you might already have some sort of knowledge in that area, but because you're moving to another country, you just need some sort of program to help you, sort of get there. So I think that's okay. But on the other hand, Saman, I always suggest students to do thorough research while they're doing. Okay? So sometimes the cost of education can be less, but we should remember that, I mean, some things are too good to be true. Okay, so you have to be very careful when you're looking at universities and colleges like that. It has to be legit. It has to be a proper institution with proper affiliation, and the course that you're going for also should be associated with the professional board or the body which is controlling that particular profession. Okay? Otherwise, it doesn't make sense for me to invest even a penny of my hard-earned money. That's what I feel.
All right, thanks, Shivani. So I think we've come to an end of this session, and maybe you'd want to, talk about our study abroad program. So I've
Yes,
pasted our
absolutely.
contact details in the chat. Yes.
Yeah. So, when I started this session, I told you that at IDC, we believe in a very unbiased approach to counseling. And we have the same philosophy with study abroad also. Okay. So we don't, we've never pushed students to go abroad. I don't think that every student is cut out to go overseas, or every student has the profile to go overseas also, or necessarily wants to go also, right? So I think it's a very individual decision, and we really respect that. So what we generally do with students when they express an interest in going abroad is that we sit with them for some time, figure out what their interests are, figure out what their goals are, and if we feel that their goals are headed in the right direction and they have the right intent to study abroad, that is when we start the process for their applications and helping them with profile building, their SOP reviews, and a lot of other documentation and a lot of other things that are required for study abroad. Okay, so I don't expect every child to go abroad, and neither do I want it. We work with a very exclusive set of students, which we select. Okay, and I think that is how we maintain the quality of the students going abroad as well from us.
All right. So thank you so much, Shivani, for the insightful session and discussion on this indeed important topic. So all of the audience, thanks to you as well. We'll see you next week with another weekly career class. And yes, bye for now.
Great. Bye bye, everyone, and thank you for joining in.